What if Konami unbanned everything? What's up guys, this is Susu from HeadtoHead Battles and you are watching Head Talks.
If you like loot boxes sent out to you every month,
And if you want to see your name in our videos,
or if you want spicy videos that only you can watch,
or if you want to focus on fitness and changing your life, join the Patreon. Now, I know what you're thinking. If Konami unbanned everything at once, we would be playing the most toxic, the most SPK oriented, but the most diverse game of Yu-Gi-Oh! We have ever played since the game has ever been created, okay? Now, the topic of today's discussion isn't really focused on what if they unbanned everything, but what if they unbanned the cards that have been power crept or cards that can come back and not impact the meta to make tier 0 decks, but bring back decks to make them playable, even tier 2, 2.5, 1.5, but nothing that will make a deck tier 0. And if you like content like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Hit that notification bell to join the squad, and comment down below, what card do you think can come back without impacting the meta by making it a tier 0 deck? As you guys know, it is Banlist season, and everyone is so focused on we should ban this, we should ban this, we should limit this, limit that. But I think it's more intuitive and much more thought-provoking to think about what we could bring back to make the meta a bit more diverse, right? Before we talk about bringing back things off the ban list, we do have to kind of touch upon a couple of different topics to kind of figure out where we are coming from, right? One of the major ones being power creep. Power creep is something that affects all games, not just trading card games, but in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Power creep is real, okay? Think about Zeus, Dragoons, Lightning Storm. These are all cards that came out recently that do things that other cards used to do, but maybe just a little bit better, or in some cases, it just reads like a custom card. So now that we know about power creep, can cards that were power creeped out while they were on the ban list, could they come back? What sort of impact would they have on the meta? Sky Striker Engage, right? Engage came back to 1, making the deck playable, but it's not the best deck. A lot of players thought if Sky Striker Engage came back, the deck would be tier 1. But after a couple people played it and people realized that if you're bad, you just can't play the deck, a lot of people stopped playing the deck. If you really think about it, Engage is not a card that can almost ever get power crept, right? If you play correctly, it's a search and a draw 1, which is really insane if you think about it, but we still have that card back. But if we're talking about cards that need to come back during that format when Engage was good, where's Harp Horror or where is Thunder Dragon Colossus? Why are these cards not coming back even though Engage came back, right? You can argue that Engage isn't as oppressive as Thunder Dragon Colossus or as recurable as Harp Horror, or rather as like enabling, but Engage is one hell of a card, right? And this card is a card that came off the ban list and it hit a lot of people by surprise because there are a lot of cards that could come back that haven't come back yet. If you really think about it, we have cards like Lightning Storm, right? Which in turn is basically a Raigeki or a Harpy's Feather Duster, but Raigeki and Duster are still at 1. These cards technically have been power crept, but in some instances, Raigeki or Duster might be better than Lightning Storm, but in most cases, Lightning Storm is a catch-all, right? You don't need to play 3 Duster, 3 Raigeki, you could just play 3 Lightning Storm and have the choice of back row or monsters. So in retrospect, could these cards come back without impacting the meta too much? Yes, Lightning Storm has its restrictions, but just the fact that you only have to run 3 slots instead of 6 makes it really, really good. The next topic that I want to talk about is Masterpiece versus Dragoons. Now, a lot of people say Masterpiece can't come back, and a lot of people say if Diagram stays at 1, Masterpiece could come back. But you have to understand, Dragoons is a card. Red Eye's Dark Dragoon literally reads like a custom card, right? This card does everything. You can't destroy it, it's unaffected, it burns and pops, and it's the Omni Negate. Masterpiece doesn't do half of those things, and Masterpiece is still banned, right? Now, a lot of people can argue that, oh, Dragoons is getting banned, Verte is getting banned, look at the OCG, look, they banned it, but unfortunately, even though we should look to the OCG for some sort of insight, we are the TCG and our ban list is very different than theirs, right? Like they have Max C. People, if Max C came back in the TCG, people would cry. Like a like tears of joy, like, but we don't have it. So back on topic, if Masterpiece doesn't get unbanned, should Dragoons be banned? As a lot of you guys know, currently in the meta today, as of recording this video, we are in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Drought. What I mean by that is a lot of the sets that we were supposed to have are being delayed months and months, which means we don't have new cards to play with, we don't have new strategies, and the ban list is the one thing that could really make the format much more diverse than it already is, right? Like, to play devil's advocate on myself, we are in a really diverse format. There are a lot of rogue decks and a lot of tier 2 decks that are competing with the tier 1 decks. But a lot of players are opting to play Drytrons or Tri-Brigades because these are the quote-unquote better decks. But notice how I didn't say the best, right? Even though Ava is at 2, or 3 rather, but people are playing it at 2, people think Ava is oppressive because it just adds you so much card advantage off of Beatrice. But even then, right, like Drytrons still feel like somewhat of a fair deck, and Tri-Brigade is a very, very fair deck, and it's just like super boring to play against, but that's besides the point. There really isn't a best deck contender in the format right now. So that means if Konami does unban more cards to make more archetypes viable, it just diversifies the deck pool that players can choose from, making the game much more playable in the essence of playing just to have fun, right? Not playing just to play the best deck, because there really isn't one at the moment, but to play decks that people feel like are viable and can win. And by all means, like, any deck right now is super, super viable. Like, this is the meta for rogue players, and me being a casual slash rogue slash competitive player, it allows me to tap into deck reservoirs that I had sitting in the shelf for a long, long time. Another thing that you have to understand about cards that are banned is that they're banned because they're abused in other decks. Like, let's take a look at Jet Synchron. Jet Synchron is the best card for Synchron players, but because of how Kafybrax and the whole Elix Synchron combos, the card got banned, and Synchron players were left there just like, I didn't even do anything. Like, they didn't even send me an email, they just banned it, right? So you have to understand, like, a lot of cards on the ban list are there, not because they're abused in its own archetype, but because they're abused in others, right? If you look at cards like even Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, this card might get banned because it's being splashed in every single deck. Same thing with Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda. People are wanting this card banned, but you have to understand this card helps a lot of other decks play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Cyber Dragon players, they love Verte Anaconda because it helps them OTK, right? Verte Anaconda isn't only for Dragoons, but in the competitive scene, that's how it could be seen. And if you look back a couple of ban lists, Konami has been unbanning the Patushkas out of every card, right? Like, a lot of cards are coming off the forbidden and limited list and just being available to the player base in droves. The last 2 ban lists unbanned like at least 7 to 8 cards, which are making strategies more viable today. If you look at even Salamangreat Mirage Stalio, the card just came back off the ban list, and we're seeing a lot more people play Salage, right? When Faker came back to 3, a lot more players picked up Altergeist. When Engage came back to 1, every Sky Striker player and their mothers came back to play the game. Now, there are some good points about bringing cards off the ban list, right? It brings players back into the game if they quit because their deck got murdered by the ban list. True Dracos, Sky Strikers, Thunder Dragons, Orcus, like, these are decks that just aren't played as much as they were used to back then when they had the cards available to them, right? And if we're talking about Konami, you have to understand that if they're taking cards off the ban list, they do want to sell product. These are things that Konami has done. You know, they have a history of it. They unban cards to sell product, and that's something that you have to understand. And when you're talking about speculation and these things, you know, these food for thought type of videos, these are all things that you have to take into consideration when you're talking about the ban list and ban list predictions, right? And this video is definitely not a ban list prediction video, but more of like I said, a food for thought to kind of like get you thinking, like, what if Konami unbanned everything? I gotta be honest with you guys, this video was everywhere. This video was kind of me like working through my own thoughts while helping to provoke your own thoughts on this topic, all right? But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Hit that notification bell to join the squad and comment down below. What card do you think can come off the ban list that wouldn't impact the meta too much, all right? So, if you guys enjoyed this video, again, let me know. I like doing these videos. They're simple, but very, very thought-provoking, all right? I freaking love you guys. This is Susu from HeadtoHead Battles, signing out. What's up, guys?
If you haven't subscribed, make sure to click that button right there in the middle.
Also, if you haven't watched that video that YouTube is recommending you, it's probably crazy, all right? Go watch it. This is Susu from HeadtoHead Battles,
HeadtoHead Battles.
signing out.